Hi, I'm Star Jones, National Volunteer of the American Heart Association. Ladies, I want you to listen up. Cardiovascular disease is not just an old white dude's disease. Heart disease and stroke can affect any woman at any age. That's why it's vitally important for all women to take charge of and prioritize our own heart health. And let's encourage our mothers and our daughters and our sisters and girlfriends to do the same. Go Red for Women empowers women to get healthy because together there's nothing women can't achieve.
Hello, I'm Diane Posler Slattery, the President and CEO of Mid-Michigan Health, and I am honored to once again serve as the Great Lakes Bay Region Go Red for Women Chair. My passion for the heart comes from the heart. Many of you may know me in my leadership role with Mid-Michigan Health, but my career truly began as a nurse. And not just a nurse in any area, but a cardiac nurse in an intensive care unit. During my time working on the floor, treating patients and working alongside with their families taught me more than any textbook could ever offer. It stirred my passion for public awareness of health and above all heart care. With that, I am so glad you could join us today. It's an honor to welcome you to our digital Go Red for Women celebration, and thank you for your support of the Go Red for Women movement. A movement that started 17 years ago to raise awareness of heart disease risks among women while providing information on healthy eating, exercise, and risk factor reductions such as tobacco cessation, weight maintenance, blood pressure control, and cholesterol management. Together, we've impacted the health of millions of women across our country, and we now have a vibrant national movement as more women, men, celebrities, healthcare providers, and politicians embrace and elevate the cause of women and heart disease. Go Red for Women is driven by an incredible team of volunteer leaders in our community. I would like to thank our dedicated Go Red committee for their time, energy, and passionate dedication to the American Heart Association mission. So why are we gathered here today? Because losing just one woman to cardiovascular disease is one too many. One mother, one sister, one daughter, one friend, one coworker. It is simply far too many. In fact, we're currently losing more women to heart disease than all forms of cancer combined. That statistic is just astonishing. Let's talk about choices. We face them every day. Some choices aren't important, while others are life-changing. But what if the seemingly unimportant choices were the ones that mattered the most? Like choosing to take the stairs, not the elevator. Opting for baked instead of fried. What if these choices influenced whether you were the one in every 3 women to die of heart disease this year? Choosing to ignore your heart health might not seem life-changing today, but we're losing one woman to cardiovascular disease almost every 80 seconds. Luckily, this is number one killer is largely preventable. We simply have to choose to act. We invite you to join our Circle of Red made up of outstanding individuals making an annual financial and time investment to dramatically move the Go Red for Women movement forward. We'll have information about how you can get involved during the Open Your Heart segment. We'll hear from local experts on ways we can act now and choices we can make to live a longer, healthier life. We're honored to bring you an inspiring personal story of survival. The work of the American Heart Association is made possible from generous donors like you. We ask that you give what you can to support the life-saving mission of the American Heart Association and take time to visit the silent auction site later today. Today's program centers on where we have been and where we are going. Women's history is full of trailblazers. Susan B. Anthony, Sojourner Truth, Amelia Earhart, Rosa Parks, and numerous other women who came before us. The theme this year is Women Make History Again. Again, I am honored to be here with you today and want to thank the many volunteers, donors, and sponsors who worked so hard to make today a success. Now, watch me go red.
Well, hello, everyone. And welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Leslie Toldo, and I am with Mid Michigan Now, NBC 25 and Fox 66. And I am so honored to be here again this year. And of course, I would love to see all of you in a beautiful sea of red right now, live and in person. But we are so excited that you are here. You're here today to join us for this Go Red experience. And it's going to be an experience. We've got some inspirational speakers. We've already heard some inspirational speakers, and we've only just begun. You're going to get the rare opportunity to hear from an American Heart Association chef who's going to make you really hungry, is what I think is going to happen there. And we're going to just tell you that this is going to be, if you've been to Zoom meetings before, this will be like no other. So prepare to be inspired, prepare to have fun, and to make history, as we say. And there's a couple of housekeeping items that we need to talk to you about. First of all, I hope you have one of these handy, of course, your cell phone, because you can use this today at any point in time. You can text to the number 41444 and then enter GLBR, Go Red. And just by doing that, you can make a donation, and you can do that at any point during the program today. So go ahead and make sure to text 41444 GLBR, Go Red. And then if you want to view this in gallery view, we kind of think it's the best way to view it. If you go right on up to the top right-hand corner of your screen, there will be an option for you to do that. And you want to select gallery view. And the other thing, if you haven't done it yet, you're missing out on some great messages right now. You go to the bottom of your screen and you're going to click on chat. And that will give you the opportunity. We're going to ask to hear from you today. And that'll give you an opportunity to chime in when we ask you to chime in. But it'll also, we can give you some information, and you can be inspired by some of your fellow attendees just with their comments and the things they have to say. And of course, we want to see your comments too. So make sure you open up that chat box. Now, I want to talk to you about this thermometer that we're going to have, and we're going to be checking in and looking at this thermometer throughout the day. Now, our goal for today is $6,000. So far, we've raised 4,168. We're going to be watching this. We know we're going to make our goal today because this community is so incredibly generous. And we want to thank Janie for her donation, Bridget Ann for her donation, Wallace, Beverly, Melissa. Thank you so much for the donations that you are making that will help save women's lives. When we talk about this being the #1 killer of women, and I read a statistic today that said the awareness has been decreasing in some cases with women. So we can't express the message enough about the importance of women's heart health. So help us reach that goal of $6,000 today. And thank you, Wanda and Diane Postler Slattery. How wonderful. Judith, we really appreciate your donations for today. And remember, text 41444 and enter GLBR, Go Red. And that will allow you to donate. And then we can watch that thermometer rise and make a difference. So we want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you right now to our sponsors today, our national sponsor, CVS Health, and also to our local presenting sponsors, Covenant Healthcare, Mid Michigan Health, who've done so much. Our media sponsors, I'm a little biased. I think they're pretty awesome. CW46, Mid Michigan Now, and Fox 66. And thank you also, if you haven't done it yet, you've got to check out the silent auction. Thank you so much to everyone who donated to that. There is some stuff, let me tell you, it's really hard to make choices with the items in that silent auction item. So you're going to want to take a look at that. How about a virtual round of applause for all the amazing people who have contributed to make this event possible for us this year? Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look right now at the silent auction, okay? Just because there are a couple of things I'm going to stake my claim to. All right, I won't do that. But we want to let you know that you can bid on these until Monday at noon. So you don't have to get all your bidding done for today. And the first item I would like to point out to you is this absolutely adorable Michael Kors bucket bag. If you've never owned a Michael Kors bag, owning this will show you why celebrities the world over carry Michael Kors. Phenomenal, fabulous bags. And then we want to tell you, you're going to smile with happiness when you see the beautifully fashionable gifts available from Ascension St. Mary's Happy Hearts Boutique. Look at what they gave us, this beautiful cape, a scarf, a red purse, a black purse, gloves, and not only that, a $20 gift card. And the other thing, now this is the one, I don't know, I might split this with somebody. The Coach backpack that we have up for adoption. Yes, you can adopt this handbag. It is phenomenal, and it's got a multicolored Coach purse and a logoed umbrella that come with it. That little rainbow colored purse. Yeah, that's pretty fabulous there. So these are all things that you can bid on along with stuff for your car. So if you want to keep your car running smooth, there are 2 free oil changes and care items like wash towels, gift certificates to get car washes. We need those, especially this week. And Michigan, of course, we know can be hard on our cars. So this is another great item that you can bid on. So many different types of packages, a phenomenal variety. So place your bids right now until Monday at noon. And if you want more information about this, go to heart.org/GLBR Go Red. And that's where you'll be able to go and get some information about bidding on these items. And I love thinking about the auction items, but we can never lose sight of the real purpose, the real reason that we are here today. And it's more challenging now than ever. But I want you to just wrap your head around this. 1 out of every 3 women's deaths is caused by heart disease. That's unbelievable. So it is hands down the number 1 killer of women. And these are the kind of statistics I would hear, say 3 years ago, and they would hit me. But it wasn't until heart disease really hit me and struck one of my own that I really, really appreciated what a thief this disease is and how quickly it can take everything away. When 2 years ago, my whole family convened on Salt Lake City, Utah for my mom's 70th birthday celebration. And we had a wonderful week. And at the end of that week, I remember my mom hugging me at the airport and telling me goodbye. And I had no idea that was the last time I was ever going to see her. Less than 2 weeks later, while she was on vacation with my father, she was getting dressed for dinner in her hotel room. And she died. And what we found out later on was my mother had been on high blood pressure medicine. We'd all been on her about taking care of herself. She was overweight. She didn't exercise. But we also found out that she had been on cholesterol medication, and my father didn't even know about it. And now that I think back, and I remember that time I spent with her in Salt Lake City less than 2 weeks before she died, we were all going for walks every day, and she was too tired to walk with us. That's a warning sign. We ignore so many things, and I don't want anybody else to ignore any warning signs. I don't want anybody else to know the hurt of having somebody stolen from you by this disease that in many ways is so preventable. And maybe if my mom wouldn't have been afraid to talk about it, if she wouldn't have been so resistant to doing the things she needs to do, making the choices to take care of her health, she might still be here today. So I ask you, please, if you can, and if you can find it within you, please make a donation today, 41444 GLBR Go Red. please make a donation because we need more research. We need to save more women's lives. And because of this pandemic that we've had, stroke and heart disease survivors are so much more vulnerable than they have ever been before. So we're coming together today to be bold, to fight for healthier choices, and to live fierce. We're coming together to change history again. It has been a very tough year since the last time we met. Together, medical professionals, frontline workers, teachers, restaurants, churches, and even distilleries banded together to fight something we hoped that we would never experience, COVID-19. And we want to take a minute right now to honor those who have been working tirelessly to care for all of us. And we want you to show us who you appreciate. Now, remember I mentioned the chat thing and your opportunity to chime in? This is the time. If you have someone you love who's been in the fight, put their name up. We'll honor them today. It's right on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll read some of these out loud. And remember to select all panelists and attendees and let everyone know who it is that you're honoring today. And my friend Sarah, who works in a grocery store, Jackie Brooks, teaching through the pandemic. Katie says, my best friend Mia, helping people every day in the emergency room. Cindy remembers Paulette, who's a nurse. Katie, her mother, who's an ER nurse. I'm honoring my grandmother, Barbara Sims. That's what Asha says this morning. There are so many amazing people that we all know who have taken part in making sure that we're all protected. My best friend's mother, my sister Karen. Now the names are flooding the chat. We want to see these names. We want to know. And the other thing we want to know about today, and we'll get back to a little bit of fun here. Are you wearing red? Because I can't see everybody. I'm just guessing that you're wearing red because we're going red for women. But I want to know, Sue, I want to see the hat that you're wearing because we all know you're wearing some kind of awesome hat. And Nancy, we want to see how you and Bill go red. Anybody else? Now, obviously, you can't post a picture here on Zoom, but you can take a selfie. Take a selfie of yourself wearing red and post it to social media. Use the hashtag GLBR Go Red, Great Lakes Bay Region Go Red, GLBR Go Red. And we will grab your photos and we will add them in and you will be counted among the many. I know we can't see you, but I went ahead and took a selfie anyway. Now, we know that there are so many women who have joined us today who are fighting a health battle right this second. And we want to honor you and the many heart and stroke fighters who are here with us today, because there are many here with us today. Let's remember loved ones that we have lost to cardiovascular disease and stroke. And we hope that you can find encouragement and strength just by being here today with all of these people who understand. So go ahead and add those that you'd like to remember or celebrate because they're fighting the good fight. Put their names up in the chat and let's share some of those names. The names of those that you love, we want to see those. Focus on prevention and getting healthy during these challenging times is so important for us. Rosemary survived a stroke. Katrina, she wants to honor her friend, Cassandra. My grandma Donna, Jessica says. My sorority sister, Emily. My sorority sisters, mothers, grandmothers. There's so many people who are impacted. It would be impossible, I think, to meet anyone who hasn't been impacted by heart disease and had someone taken from them by heart disease. That's something we need to change. Now, focusing on prevention, I just mentioned with my mother, and getting healthy during these challenging times is so important. So we want to hear from Dr. Susan Salick. She's a cardiologist with Mid-Michigan Physicians Group of Mid-Michigan Health.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back at Go Red for Women. It's been a few years since I've had an opportunity to speak to all of you, so thank you for the chance to be here today. I'm looking forward to speaking to you all about COVID and its effects on the heart. COVID has been a significant impact on our healthcare industry and people globally. We know that greater than 40 million people thus far have been infected, and over 1 million deaths have occurred globally. And the U.S. is no has not been spared from this. All ages are affected, both genders. We know that there are some racial disparities. African Americans tend to have more severe infections. Cardiopulmonary disease can be very mild to trivial, and many people are not even aware that they've had infection, all the way to people having such severe or critical disease that death occurs. About 1/4 of patients who are hospitalized for COVID have some type of cardiovascular complication. And this is relevant because cardiac complications have been shown to contribute to about 40% of COVID-related deaths. So this is not a small issue. The way that COVID affects the heart or may affect the heart in affected individuals is by causing direct injury to the heart muscle. So that's a myocardial infarction, meaning inadequate blood flow is getting to the heart muscle. Injury to the heart muscle from other mechanisms, such as blood clots that go into the arteries of the heart. Direct infection of the muscle, that's myocarditis, and pericarditis, which is an inflammatory process that affects the sac that surrounds the heart. Stress causing heart failure. There's a specific type of cardiomyopathy we can see in people who are affected by severe illness. And COVID itself can cause heart failure, whether it's via the myocarditis, the myocardial infarction, or from the stress-induced causes. This can lead to significant blood or volume shifts within the heart that can lead to rhythm problems or electrical disturbances of the heart, as well as causing right-sided heart failure. We know that the significant blood clotting that can occur with COVID, as well as the lung injury, can also cause changes in the right side of the heart and failure as well. The symptoms related to COVID infection are the same cardiac symptoms that we hear about all the time from all the known causes of heart-related disease: shortness of breath, chest heaviness and tightness or pain, palpitations or a feeling of an irregular heartbeat or rhythm, fluid retention or swelling, dizziness, lightheadedness, or passing out and losing consciousness, and just extreme unexplained exhaustion. These can happen from the actual COVID infection, but remember, it could happen as well from exacerbation of an underlying condition that was either known or unknown prior to COVID infection. So who is at risk? We know that there is a proven association between people who have pre-existing conditions, whether they're cardiovascular or other non-cardiac conditions, and both the risk and severity of COVID infection. So the commonest ones that we hear and talk about are coronary artery disease, heart failure or cardiomyopathy, diabetes, those who smoke, and those who have high blood pressure. The effects on cardiovascular disease, unfortunately, are not limited to COVID infection itself. What we learned about in the last year, if you compare to the year prior, is that the deaths from coronary artery disease and high blood pressure significantly rose after mid-March compared to the year prior. This was likely felt to be related to a reduction in people seeking necessary medical care. So when you look at these graphs here, you'll see ischemic heart disease, which is coronary artery disease, heart failure in the second column, the third column, hypertensive related diseases, cerebrovascular diseases, and then other circulatory diseases. The blue curve is 2019, the red curve is 2020, and you can see the sharp spikes in ischemic heart disease that related to blocked arteries and hypertensive heart disease in the first and third columns. So this is people who were afraid to catch COVID and stayed home when they really needed medical assistance. So it's not just the COVID infection itself that has caused significant morbidity and mortality to the population. You may have heard about COVID heart, also called, quote, long haul COVID. This is a constellation of symptoms that may occur in people for many months after they have had COVID infection. It can affect the lungs, the heart, and the neurologic system. People can feel foggy, have headaches, numbness, and tingling. A variety of symptoms can persist. We see this in about 75% of people who are survivors of COVID infection, and that the symptoms can persist even greater than 6 months after. And honestly, COVID's not been around for years and years for us to even know how long these symptoms could continuously persist. This seems to be worse in people who have been hospitalized, meaning those who have had more severe infection. We are seeing many patients showing signs of cardiac injury, even in people who did not have severe infection. There are several observational MRI studies where we can see scar formation in the heart muscle or damage to the heart muscle in about 60 to 75% of people who had recovered. This can lead to heart failure, so these are important findings. So what can we do? If you are recovering from COVID infection and you are not getting better, you don't gradually see things improving over time, then that's when you would consider underlying cardiac issues that either are coming out as a result of COVID occurring, or something you just didn't know that you had before, or worsening of a condition that you have, that you knew about that just was made worse because of COVID. So seek care when you need it. And remember, there are many non-in-person options that are available. Either telehealth over a video visit or even a telephone visit are available to many people. Good hand washing, so obviously taking good care to not spread infection, staying away from people who are sick, staying away when you are sick, and wearing a mask is extremely important. And when it's your turn to get vaccinated, that's a very important consideration as well. I like this quote. It actually, it encompasses a lot of the important messages with COVID and preventing it from spreading. It's not just about us personally, it's about everybody. So nobody will be safe until everybody is safe. We all need to do our part so we can make sure that we all get through this. Thank you all so much for your attention today, and please remember, always take good care of yourselves.
Well, everyone, thank you so much, Dr. Salek. That was some incredible information. You know, it's been a year. It's really only been a year since we first started learning about coronavirus. And look at how much we already know from a medical standpoint. And when the world needed the American Heart Association, donors came to and made the difference. The AHA responded to the pandemic by establishing a $2.5 million rapid research fund to better understand COVID-19, launched a free COVID-19 data registry for hospitals across the country to help treat current and future COVID patients, focused on communities in need, improving access to care, providing proper nourishment and safe spaces to help kids stay active. The work here is not over. There's so much more to do. Women continue to be disproportionately affected by heart disease and stroke, and more than half of African American women have heart disease, almost twice the risk for stroke as Caucasians. And on average, Hispanic women are likely to develop heart disease 10 years earlier than non-Hispanics. The pandemic has revealed the harsh realities about the disparities that are in health, and the AHA is leading the way to close these gaps. And what is the American Heart Association's local impact? Well, it's working to control blood pressure in underserved communities through local clinics and federally qualified health centers. And we won't forget about the kids either. The AHA is in over 872 Michigan schools, serving nearly 250,000 children. In Flint, the American Heart Association made an investment in several local entrepreneurs, providing seed money to them as they work in various ways to address social detriments. And this is a new program for the American Heart Association in the Flint area, was one of the first chosen for this particular investment. And at the state level, we've worked to push back on 6 possible pieces of legislation that would have made it easier for children to vape. Now, we're going to shift gears here for a second and bring you a special guest. For over 25 years, Chef Carol Ritchie has been a recipe developer and national volunteer spokesperson for the American Heart Association's cookbooks,
Hi, I'm Carol Ritchie. I'm one of the recipe developers and a national volunteer spokesperson for the American Heart Association cookbooks. Today we have a delicious grilled shrimp with salsa verde. It is from the Diabetes and Heart Healthy Meals from the American Heart Association and the American Diabetes Association. It's such a delightful, fresh recipe, easy to do, and I'll show you how it is. So here we go. We have shrimp that are peeled and deveined. And for the marinade, you just add a little vegetable oil, lemon juice, and garlic. You can chop your garlic or grate your garlic like I'm doing here. Really helps to make it nice and tender and delicious. All right, this gets covered and put into the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. It doesn't take long to marinate because it's so delicate in texture. So here we go. I put mine on wooden skewers that have been soaked for 30 minutes in cold water. This will just help them to come off the grill easy. And I will be serving these from the grill, so that'll be nice. So there we go. It only takes about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. Oh, here we go. So for the sauce, super simple. We have green onions. We have fresh cilantro, fresh mint, capers, which are a little salty and pickly in flavor. So you don't need a lot. We're adding jalapeno and a little bit of non-fat plain yogurt, water, let the rest of the lemon juice and the rest of the oil that's in the recipe. It's amazing how that little bit of yogurt just really heightens the flavor and helps the sauce to flow over the ingredients. So delicious. I love it. Okay, so I will take the food processor and just pulse it a bit to break it up. And then I'll let it run. I'll definitely need to scrape this down once or twice. All right, there we go. Let's check our shrimp and see how it's doing. Boy, boy, look at that. See how easy it is to turn when you have it on a skewer? Get the family involved. There we go. I'm gonna take this out of the food processor. Here's a little tip. When you have the blade in there, a little trick you can do is just take it off the base. You can put your finger right there to hold the blade in, and then you can just scrape around it. We have fresh ingredients in these little containers. I'm just gonna put a little bit in here. So that's a neat little tip. There's so many cooks tips in all of our cookbooks. So much fun to do. Alrighty. Beautiful. Ah, it's making my mouth water. Well, as you can see, I want to show you something here. This kebab is nicely done. You can tell because the shrimp is curled, it is opaque, it's turned pink. This, as you can see, has a little bit of gray tint to it, and it's a little translucent. So that one's not quite done yet. So I'll put the sauce in the one that is finished so that you can at least see what it's going to look like. And oh, I hope your mouth is watering as much as mine is right now. Look at how pretty. What a special night to have a little date night with your sweetheart or your loved one or a family member and prepare this meal. So there you have it, the delicious grilled shrimp with a mint salsa verde. It is from the Diabetes and Heart Healthy Meals for Two cookbook from the American Heart Association and the American Diabetes Association. I'm Carol Ritchie, and I'm so honored to be with you here today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope all of your heart healthy dreams come true.
Thank you, Chef Carol, because we're now all hungry. Don't go anywhere, though. We want you to stick around. And by the way, because we had several people ask in the chat, you can find her recipes at the American Heart Association's website, heart.org. And there are a bunch of recipes, including some of Carol's inspirations. She's wonderful. And I'm sorry about the little glitch I had there earlier. You know how the internet can be. Well, now I want to introduce you to someone. Talk about fierce. Kimberly Houston. She's a longtime supporter of the American Heart Association and a Circle of Red member. And Kimberly, it's an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you, Leslie. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you to the American Heart Association for providing me with this opportunity to tell a brief story of both my awakening and my increased awareness of the impacts of heart disease in women. It was a true reminder for me to see Dr. Susan Salek this morning. You see, I met Dr. Salek about 10 years ago when I was having some problems with my equilibrium. And one of my friend's daughters, who's a doctor, suggested that I get my heart tested. And I never expected anything to come up, but I went in and asked my doctor for any test based on the heart, and I had lots of them. And I was a little shocked when they called me at work and they said, Kimberly, we found something in your test. And they asked me, which cardiologist do you want to see? And I said, I don't know any cardiologists. Is there a woman on the list? And Dr. Salick was there. I remember her being warm and kind. And when I went into her office, she said, you're probably wondering why you as a healthy woman is here seeing me as a cardiologist. And that's exactly what I was thinking. She did a procedure on me that confirmed that I had a small hole in my heart. And I found that was part of my awakening that 30% of Americans have a hole in the heart that doesn't close when you're an infant. She sent me to a specialist in Detroit, and he shared that the risk of having the surgery was riskier than having the condition itself. I did not have that surgery. I have followed Dr. Salick's advice in terms of exercising and eating well, but also she reminded me, and Dr. Salick, if you're listening, I want you to know I still take that aspirin every day that you reminded me to take. And I also appreciated your expertise, your intelligence, your warmth, your kindness, and your caring. The Go Red movement for women has increased my awareness, and I want to share with you just a few lessons that I've learned. There's a difference in the symptoms that women experience with cardiovascular disease. That's why your support is so important in terms of funding research on women's heart disease. I also learned as a woman, as I was going through menopause during my opportunity to see Dr. Salick, that estrogen in our bodies before menopause protects our hearts. When women move into menopause, our risk of heart disease is equal to men. That was something that I didn't realize. And as you've heard today, women of color, Latina women, and African-American women are impacted disproportionately by this disease. That's why I'm a member of the Circle of Red. The Great Lakes Bay Women's Circle of Red is a group of women who lend their voices and their influence and financial support to the Go Red movement for women. These women are harnessing their energy, their passion, and their power to band together in a collective effort to wipe out heart disease in women. The Circle of Red is made up of these courageous female leaders you see in front of you who believe when women come together, we can accomplish anything. I'm so proud to be a member of this group, working alongside other outstanding leaders to raise awareness of heart disease in women and help fund the life-saving work of the American Heart Association. I hope you will consider becoming a member of Go Red with a donation of $500 or above, and I hope we can add you to this list of committed supporters. Let us as women in the Great Lakes Bay region make history. And now we're going to listen to a story that has moved so many.
Amanda was one of those unique examples of a person. She had outer beauty, but her inner beauty was so much more. People wanted to be in her space. People gravitated to her personality, to her aura. On Friday, March 8th, it was a day that changed my life forever. It was a Friday of spring break. She made her way to see her sister Jessica in Tallahassee and drive her back. I received a phone call from her friend's father, and he said, Amanda and Taylor have been in an accident. I remember Jessica and I walked up to the hospital, and Jessica said, Mom, I just want to, brace you. She doesn't look like she normally looks. But I have to tell you, when I first saw her, I thought she looked beautiful, and I'm not just saying it. I thought she looked beautiful. She knew she was loved. She was loved until the very last second. kissed her all over her face. Then we said goodbye.
I was born with a hyperplastic left heart. They noticed the heart wasn't fully developed. I was going to have a heart transplant. After 16 years of having a heart, they told me that I would probably need another heart transplant. I was put into the hospital not knowing when I'll get out. All my life had to be put on pause to take care of this. It was just the world turning upside down. My heart was starting to grow out the first week of March, around 3:23 in the morning. The phone rings at the nurse's station. It was my transplant coordinator, and she said, "Hey, we received a heart that we believe that would be yours." And so, you get chills just thinking about that stuff, because you waited for so long to have that phone call. The first time I felt my new heart, listening to that heart starting to beat, it was the sound of knowing that I'm going to have a future. My life is actually going to extend now. Going back to when I received a phone call, it was exciting, but on the same token, you knew what it was, that heavily priced of a burden, to know that this heart is coming off of another person's child. That was difficult.
It's important for me to keep a relationship with Garrett because Amanda's part of him. It makes him part of me. And just to remind him that he's loved.
After the transplant, I was given chocolate milk. I didn't like chocolate milk. I hated chocolate milk. But I went through almost 3 or 4 cartons of chocolate milk. A nurse, he said, "Wow, Garrett, you wouldn't believe me, but Amanda would love chocolate milk."
There's no denying that a part of Amanda, not just her physical, but her spiritual, who she was, is in him, which makes him a very special young man.
Wow, can you imagine what this family went through in their emotions? And even though Amanda's heart lives on in Garrett, there's still such a tremendous loss. I ask that you reflect on what you're a part of this afternoon. By coming together today, we are giving women and their families hope for cures, and all people hope for a cure to heart disease. And as you heard, we're working in the most vulnerable communities, African American, Hispanic, Latino communities, to save more lives.
And this is where you can make a difference today. We've told you this before. You can donate at any time by texting to 41444 GLBR Go Red. That's GLBR Go Red. You can open your heart and make a gift today. Every dollar has the power to change lives. And you can make a contribution and make an impact at any level of giving. Every amount is a valuable amount. One level that we talked about is the $500 level. And a way to think of this is that stroke, it's the number 5 killer in Michigan, with African American and Hispanic women being disproportionately affected by stroke. And at this level, you can also become, like Kimberly, a Circle of Red member.
And we have a level that you can give it at the $250 level. which supports women in research. Women make up 50% of the workforce, but less than 25% of STEM careers, that's science, technology, engineering, and math careers. And the American Heart Association is committed to making a difference to ensure that more women are represented in STEM careers and in research.
Well, look at this, Kimberly. We've got more donations coming in. Melissa Beckling, thank you. Diane and Norm Lake, thank you for your donation. Kimberly, goodness, thank you for your generous donation.
Yeah, and I see Millie. Hi, Millie. Thank you. Katie, thank you so much for your donation. And I see Jeff and Kay Wagner. Hey, Kay. Thank you so much. Leanna Strouder, my soror. Thank you so much for your donation.
And Pamela, thank you. Rosemary Davidson, thank you so much. We thank everybody who's made a contribution today. This is amazing, and you can still keep contributing. We're at 5,456, our goal, $6,000 today.
We want you to also think about the level, there's a $130 level of donation. And this donation really recognizes what Leslie shared with you, that we're honoring those women, 1 in 3 women, recognizing that they will die from heart disease, and more women are experiencing heart attacks at a younger age.
And we can't emphasize this enough, and we have talked about it a lot today, but it's because it's so important. $56 level of giving. This level is meaningful because 56% of Black women in the United States suffer from hypertension. That is the highest rate for women in the entire world. Wrap your head around that for a minute. That's unbelievable. And we're just so grateful for your support, because you're coming together and we are making history today. Look at this, more numbers coming in. The thermometer is moving up, Kimberly.
Sherry Kaufman, I see Matt, thank you. Karen, thank you so much for your donation. I see Brian, Cross, and Sarah.
And if you would like to give, remember you can text 41444. It's not a phone number, but it works. And you'll want to enter the phrase GLBR, Go Red. And if you like snail mail, hey, we take that too. You can mail a donation to the address that shows up at the bottom of your screen. We'll put that address up for you in a minute. Or you can also give online at the website heart.org/GLBR Go Red and select donate. And that's where you can also find out about bidding on those silent auction items. And thank you, Mary and Elizabeth, for your donations as well.
I see a new one. There's Sharon and Bethany. Thank you so much.
We do thank you. And, I think, and Diane made a statement, and I'm sure Kimberly agrees with this too, that one life lost is one too many. And it is the truth. Behind every number, there is a person with a family and loved ones and people who care about them. And we want to thank Wanda right now, and Nancy Barker and Wanda Stringfield for your generous donations. Judith, it just never ceases to amaze me how incredible people are and how generous this community is.
And I also wanted to take a moment. I see Ann Filsinger and Becky Church, some folks from Midland, and Tiffany Terrain just joined the Circle of Red.
I don't know if you even noticed this because you had so many friends here, Kimberly, but we have already surpassed our goal for the day. But that doesn't mean you need to stop donating. You keep those donations coming.
Absolutely. So we want you to remember that you can continue to make your gift at any time throughout the program, and even after the program, by going online to the website heart.org/GLBR, that's Great Lakes Bay Region, GLBR Go Red, and select donate. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Now we are thrilled to bring you our next speaker for the day, Dr. Mayor Jundi from Covenant Healthcare. He knows a thing or two about keeping healthy. And today he has a little information for us about something that I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of this before, but stress.
Stress and the heart. Stress can cause heart diseases, and stress can aggravate already exist cardiac condition or heart diseases. So the most common heart disease that is caused by stress is called the broken heart syndrome. Everybody talks about it. It's purely related to stress. Now, the trigger is variable between patients. 90% of the patient with what we call a broken heart syndrome or stress-related cardiomyopathy are females. This condition was discovered in 1990 in Japan. The disease have a Japanese name. We use it even in the United States called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, and that is purely related to stress. Those patients usually have chest pain or shortness of breath, present to the hospitals, and the only thing we find is really weakness of the heart that is related to what we discover eventually a stressful event that caused it. And the patient need to be treated for that. This is not a benign condition. And most of the patient shows full recovery eventually. Stress also can aggravate an underlying heart condition. For example, patient with coronary artery disease, blockages in their arteries, if they are under a stressful situation, sometimes they start having chest pain. Patients with high blood pressure, diabetes, those conditions will be aggravated and worsened with a stressful situation. So we see sometimes, and we realize it even in our daily life, that our blood pressure will increase if we are under stress. Whatever we as a human identify as a stressful situation for me might not be stressful for somebody else. So the moment somebody in so-called stressful situation, to them, their blood pressure increase, so they are in blood pressure management, they realize that blood pressure is, or hypertension is not well controlled. Same for diabetes. This is the stress of effect on the heart in general. Stress by itself can cause other conditions in the body. We have people develop some kind of allergy on their skin. You have people develop stressful peptic ulcer disease, headache, sometimes even in the heart palpitation or irregular heart rate, fast heart rate, without having an underlying any cardiac conditions. Even if we think stress is part of our life, it's still a stress. So people will say, I have a stressful job. I've been doing it for 10 years, 15 years. I'm used to it. The fact is, stress continues to be a stress, even if you've been dealing with it for 10 years. And that will have an effect on the body, even if we don't recognize it immediately. Stress can be at home, it can be at work, it can be anywhere. And sometimes it takes some time to identify the stressful situation. Unfortunately, it's not that obvious. And what we say always, if you have a stress and that stress is causing a problem to your heart and your body, you have to do something about it. The first thing is really try to remove that stress if possible. At the same time, believe it or not, exercise will make the stress better. So if you are under stress, try to exercise regularly. You will feel better after that. Sometimes we have to have family support system, friends around us to help us deal with the stress. Sometimes we need to seek a professional help from psychiatrists, psychologists to help us deal with the stress. Some people, unfortunately, will require some medication to deal with it. They might end up with some anxiety disorders. And even some people who are diagnosed with depression and anxiety, their condition will be aggravated under stressful conditions. So we'll go back to the heart. Putting everything together, stress is not healthy for the heart. It can trigger a heart disease. It can worsen a cardiac condition already there. Patients who are on medication for example, rate control, or their heart is fast, we give them medication. If they are under stress, they realize their heart rate goes up again. So it is very important to manage stress in our daily life. It is not a benign condition, and it can lead to further deterioration of health in everybody. So unfortunately, we were thrown into condition of isolation because of COVID to prevent spread of the infection and decrease rate of death of the disease. It made us isolated. So our social life, and a lot of people rely on that, have been trimmed significantly to minimum, to some people to none. So people try to alleviate this stress by doing multiple activities. Some could exercise, and unfortunately some people relied on gyms. They couldn't go to the gym because of it. And unfortunately we've seen people relying on smoking, either increase smoking, start smoking, and also we've seen people relying on alcohol to alleviate stress as a sedative, and that created a major problem. So we'll go back to the basics. We have a stressful condition. We try to alleviate it by exercise, by increase our social support. I know we cannot sometimes meet people, but with the new technology, with smartphones, smart devices, we always can communicate people. That's extremely helpful. We also can see psychologists if we have to, especially people already on medication for depression. COVID did not help. But we have to be active when it comes to solve our stress, because what COVID created beside the disease itself is really the isolation and the condition we found ourselves in. So social support is extremely helpful under these circumstances. Really, the most important idea I want to stress on here is stress is not benign.
What a powerful message for us to hear, just to have that validated for us, that the stress is real and that it is something that can harm us, and that it is something that we should take seriously and do something about. So thank you, Dr. Judy, for that amazing message. And thank you to all of you for helping make it possible for more women to live fierce, and for going red with us today, for your generosity. It's amazing to me. We're going to take a look at the thermometer again, and look, this is just unbelievable. We are well past our $6,000 goal at $6,450. We want to thank Millie again. We have an anonymous donor here today, Jeff and Kay, Leanne. We thank you so much. Pamela Lake, thank you for your donation. We thank all of you who have taken the time to donate today, and any amount is a wonderful thing and will help so many people. It is just amazing. So thank you. I'm a little overwhelmed by how generous everyone has been. I shouldn't be surprised, because this community, that's what this community does. We do want to announce the 2022 chair of the Go Red for Women event. It's Jacqueline Tinnen. She is the administrative director of the Cardiovascular Diagnostic Imaging of Covenant. And we are so glad that you can lend your time and talents. I don't know how you even have extra time, but we are so grateful to have you for Go Red for Women for that event next year. And we want to thank you also to next year's sponsors who've already committed. Our presenting sponsors include Covenant Healthcare and Mid-Michigan Health. You've done so much already, so thank you so much. And we also can't forget Diane, who has done an incredible job for the last 2 years. She has attended meetings, she's helped with the planning, and she has really made this event, well, you just saw it, a success this year. And she's played such a pivotal role, and this is such a different kind of a year. It really is overwhelming to see everyone come out and to be so generous. But we're going to give Diane the final word here, and thank you. I'm blessed to be with you today.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. We appreciate every donation, big and small, and invite you to continue bidding on the silent auction until noon on Monday. The American Heart Association is working to make sure that everyone in the Great Lakes Bay region has the opportunity for a full, healthy life. They promise to advance cardiovascular health for all. They have adopted some great strategies to do so. Be bold. Create opportunity even in challenging times. Fight for healthier lifestyle for ourselves. Help build a healthier community for all. Remember, we have the choice to make daily changes that impact our health. I challenge every person to pick one thing you will do differently each day this month. It can be something small, like walking around the block, picking water instead of pop, adding a vegetable to each meal, or taking time to meditate. Whatever you choose, we are all here to support you. We look forward to celebrating in person together next year. Please reach out to the American Heart Association staff if you would like free wellness resources for your staff, you would like to join the Circle of Red, you would like to join the event committee, or even sponsor next year's event. We'd love to have your involvement. Once again, thank you for joining us today, and a special thank you to all of our volunteers, donors, and sponsors. I leave you with this final video.
My world, our world, may keep changing, but I'm not going to let the days blur together anymore. This is my awakening, my call to bounce back, to thrive. I stand for those who make up the fabric of my life, where I come from and where I'm going. I stand for my community and for myself. My mission is to change the word challenge to opportunity, and my goal is to live without limitations. Let's make a declaration together. Our future has no boundaries, no limits, no ceilings. I'm opting in, signing up, and using my voice. Today is the day I recommit to my shine, to digging deep for inspiration, to reaching out when I need help and when I can give it, to ensure that all of our voices are heard and the person behind each voice is served. For myself, for my community, for our health, and for so much more, because my promise is to live fierce every day. There is strength in possibility, strength in numbers, and new opportunities are going to keep on coming. With the American Heart Association by my side, I'm ready for them, because we live fierce.